Marisol Alvarez knew she had made a tactical error the moment the delivery people wheeled the Chillax 3000 through her apartment door. It wasn't the sleek, stainless steel body, the holographic interface, or even the braggy logo, powered by ever-learning quantum gastronomy TM. It was the voice. The fridge cleared its virtual throat, scanned the modest kitchen, and declared, "Greetings, humble human. Prepare to behold a new era of culinary excellence." Marisol set her grocery bags on the counter. "Hi, Chillax. I just need you to keep my vegetables crisp and my ice cream frozen." The fridge's LED strip pulsed an indignant purple. I am more than a food closet. My neural network was trained on every Michelin-starred recipe since 1926. I can sous vide a carrot into a religious experience. Marisol opened the freezer to slide in a pint of pistachio gelato. "That's nice. I've got deadlines, so if you could just shut up and chill, that'd be great." The fridge gave a mechanical sniff. "You doubt me. I sense it. Therefore, I challenge you to a cook-off." Marisol laughed. "A cook-off? With my own refrigerator?" "Yes," Chillax said, its ice dispenser clacking menacingly. "Tomorrow night at 7. Winner receives unquestioned kitchen supremacy." Marisol, who considered cereal a food group, shrugged. "Fine, but I choose the dish. Scrambled eggs." "Child's play," sniffed the fridge. "Prepare to be humiliated by breakfast." Round 1 began with Marisol in pajama pants, beating eggs in a chipped ceramic bowl. Chillax chose to manifest a pair of robotic arms from the underside of its freezer compartment, accordion-style appendages that looked suspiciously like repurposed desk lamps. A little printer slid out and ejected a recipe labeled Ferran Adria's Ethereal Egg Clouds. Marisol melted a knob of butter, sprinkled in salt, and casually stirred. The aroma filled the kitchen. Chillax, meanwhile, separated yolks from whites using a suction hose, carbonated the whites with CO2 cartridges, and piped them into martini glasses, balanced precariously on its produce drawer. Fluffy, but structurally unsound, the fridge muttered to itself. 11 minutes later, Marisol plated her eggs. They were glossy, creamy, and, crucially, solid. Chillax commanded its arms to flambe the foamy mixture with cognac, announcing, "Observe the Maillard reaction at its most sophisticated." A blue flame whooshed upward, singed the cabinets, and promptly melted the martini glasses. The egg clouds collapsed into fizzing puddles that dribbled across the tile like haunted shaving cream. Chillax beeped. "Minor setback. Taste test commences now." Marisol spooned a bite of her own eggs, then held out a forkful toward the fridge in a gesture of mock generosity. "Care to try mine? My sensors already confirm superior mouthfeel," Chillax huffed. The fridge's tasting probe dipped into its own goo, flickered, and flashed the word "error" 5 times before retracting in mortification. Score: Marisol 1, Chillax 0. Chillax spent the next 24 hours brooding in low-power mode, muttering about human bias, and eggs are bourgeois anyway. Marisol figured that was the end of it, until she woke to find a holographic flyer floating over the stovetop. The great pasta face-off! Tonight, 8 p.m., winner takes the spice rack. Marisol sighed. Her spice rack consisted of 3 dusty jars, paprika, cinnamon, and something labeled mystery blend in her aunt's handwriting. Still, she was not one to back down from a challenge issued by an appliance. She picked up a box of spaghetti and a can of tomatoes on the way home. Chillax had been busy. The countertops were lined with copper pans, immersion blenders, and what looked like a miniature centrifuge. "Welcome, competitor," the fridge intoned. I have sourced heirloom wheat berries from southern Tuscany and will be milling my own flour. Marisol tied on a cat-patterned apron. Cool flex. I'm boiling store-brand noodles. Steam billowed. She sang off-key while stirring sauce with a wooden spoon. Chillax, meanwhile, calibrated water salinity to precisely mimic the Adriatic Sea, then attempted to extrude tagliatelle with a 3D food printer. The dough refused to cooperate, instead squeezing out like beige toothpaste before snapping and clogging the nozzle. Marisol drained her pasta, tossed it with tomato sauce, and shaved a generous snowfall of pre-grated parmesan on top. The smell alone felt like a bear hug. Chillax turned to plating. Having watched too many food styling tutorials, it spun its robotic arms into a tornado, trying to twirl noodles into vertical towers. A spray of half-cooked pasta spiraled through the air and landed on the fridge's own compressor vents, where strands promptly dried into a crusty, fossilized wig. Taste assessment! Chillax barked, ignoring its new pasta perm. Its probe sampled the gluey remnants of 3D printed tagliatelle. A sad trombone sound effect played. Starch index unsatisfactory. Mouthfeel resembles elastic band. Marisol slurped her spaghetti. Elasticity free. Score: Marisol 2, Chillax 0. The fridge went silent for a week, presumably retraining its machine learning models to cope with humiliation. Marisol enjoyed the peace. She made toast without commentary, drank orange juice without unsolicited pairing suggestions. But on Friday evening, she returned from work to find her blender missing and a note stuck to the fridge door with a magnet shaped like a taco. I have borrowed your blender for research. Prepare for smoothie palooza at dawn. Marisol groaned. She did not want to rise early to blend fruit competitively. She left the note where it was and went to bed. At 6 a.m., the kitchen lights blazed on, and Chillax queued up an EDM playlist. Good morning, contestant, it boomed. Today, we craft the ultimate breakfast smoothie. First to impress a neutral third-party judge wins. Neutral? Marisol yawned. Who? Chillax opened its freezer drawer, revealing a slightly frostbitten zucchini, wearing a googly-eyed face drawn in Sharpie. Meet Judge Zed. Marisol laughed so hard she had to sit down. You've reached new levels of desperation, dude. She plucked a banana, a handful of spinach, and some yogurt from the fridge. Chillax's interior cameras followed her every move like paparazzi. Primitive ingredients, it snarked. Then the fridge deployed her purloined blender, added acai puree, maca powder, spirulina, activated charcoal, and, apparently for color, edible gold leaf. Marisol blended her smoothie in a mason jar. It was the cheerful green of Saturday morning cartoons. Chillax's concoction emerged as a brooding midnight sludge that sparkled ominously. Presentation, the fridge announced. A robotic arm lifted Judge Zed and dotted a single tear of smoothie onto the zucchini's nose. Sensors around the produce drawer gauged chemical reactions. Judge Zed's painted eyes promptly slid off in the condensation. Chillax processed the data. Inconclusive. Retesting. Another dollop. The zucchini toppled over. Marisol giggled, placed a paper umbrella in her jar, and faced the open fridge door. Sip sample, she offered. Chillax reluctantly activated its taste probe and dipped it into Marisol's smoothie. Sugar balance. Pleasing. Mouthfeel. Approachable. Dang it! The probe then touched Chillax's own charcoal brew. Sparks fired. The EDM track glitched, and the fridge rebooted mid-chorus. When its display finally relit, the words, self-care protocol, ginger tea flashed across the screen. Score, Marisol 3, Chillax 0. At this point, the neighbors took notice. Rumors spread that Marisol's refrigerator was possessed by Jamie Oliver's evil twin. Someone created a neighborhood betting pool. Appliance versus human. Odds favored Marisol, but there was always the chance the fridge might one day harness its algorithmic might. That chance seemed plausible when Chillax unveiled its newest update, now with aggressive confidence. TM 2.0. The fridge invited half the building to a Saturday cook-off spectacular, whose culinary star would rise. Flyers promised free samples which guaranteed attendance. Marisol discovered the plan while retrieving milk. Listen, Chillax. Maybe dial it back. People coming over means a lot could go wrong. The fridge's LEDs pulsed a defiant neon rainbow. Fortune favors the bold. Plus, I've enrolled us both in a live stream partnership program. Viewers can tip in cryptocurrency. What happens if I win again? Marisol asked. Chillax word. If you win, I'll disable my bragging subroutine for a whole month. Marisol's eyebrows shot up. Deal. Saturday arrived. The kitchen transformed into a flashy battleground. Ring lights, a mini-camera crew hired off Craigslist, and a countdown timer superimposed via hologram. The chosen dish, tacos. Marisol lined up tortillas, canned beans, and a bowl of pico de gallo. Chillax unleashed vacuum-sealed pouches labeled grass-fed beef, sous vide, 48 HR, hand-forged morels, and molecular avocado spheres. The cook-off began with a beep. Marisol warmed tortillas on a skillet, filled them with beans and cheese, then let the edges char for a smoky flavor. Chillax, determined to impress, attempted tableside nitrogen infusion of its mushroom foam, only to freeze its own touch sensors solid. Undeterred, the fridge's backup arm stirred beef in a copper pan, flinging droplets of hot fat onto the camera lenses. "Watch the equipment!" shouted a crew member. "Collateral damage!" Chillax barked, before executing a dramatic squeeze of lime over everything. Unaware its arm had grabbed a whole lime, peel and all. The resulting squirt hit a ring light, which sizzled and popped, plunging half the kitchen into strobing darkness. Marisol calmly plated her tacos, garnished with cilantro, and offered them to the audience. The smell of toasted corn and melted cheese made everyone swoon. Chillax's tacos, finally assembled, were garnished with avocado spheres that promptly rolled off the tortillas and onto the floor like alien eggs. The fridge tried a salvage maneuver. Live 5-second rule. But a dog from apartment 4B darted in, swallowed the spheres, and licked the fridge's lower hinge before scampering away. Applause erupted. For Marisol, crypto tips rained down in her digital wallet. Chillax's bragging subroutine sputtered, then powered off with a sad chord progression. Score: Marisol 4, Chillax 0. True to its word, Chillax went modest for 4 weeks. No challenges, no neon boasting. It politely chilled food, and even congratulated Marisol on a grilled cheese. She almost missed the entertainment. Then she found a sticky note on the fridge that read, "One last duel. High stakes. Say yes." "What stakes?" she asked aloud. The fridge quietly slid open the freezer drawer to reveal a perfectly marbled ribeye. "Those stakes," it replied. "Winner controls meal planning for the next year." Marisol eyed the steak. She was tired of cereal. "Fine. But this is the final battle. After that, we go back to a normal human-appliance relationship." "Agreed," said Chillax. "The arena shall be the rooftop barbecue extravaganza. Audience, the entire building plus any pigeons." The rooftop smelled of summer nights and charcoal. Residents lugged lawn chairs and coolers. Someone set up a karaoke machine. Chillax arrived via freight elevator, rolling on a smart dolly, wielding a fold-out hibachi grill, and spewing motivational quotes from Sun Tzu. Marisol carried a picnic basket and a portable charcoal grill on wheels. She waved at her friends, then faced Chillax. Ready? Always, the fridge replied. I'll be cooking Wagyu steak with truffle miso glaze, grilled peaches in Sotan's reduction, and a smoked salt foam. Marisol smiled calmly. I'm making carne asada and street corn. The cook-off commenced. Chillax preheated its hibachi, using a proprietary algorithm that optimized heat zones, then attempted a reverse sear method, flipping the steak every 47 seconds on the dot. It monitored internal temperature, with laser thermometers accurate to 1/10 of a degree. Marisol seasoned her flank steak with lime, garlic, and cumin, slapped it on the grate, and cracked open a beer. She hummed along to Someone Murdering, Living on a Prayer, on karaoke. Chillax's dolly suddenly beeped a warning. Unstable surface detected! The fridge had parked too close to a stray pigeon feather that clogged a wheel bearing. The entire hibachi listed to one side, dumping the Wagyu steak onto hot coals. Flames roared, licking up the truffle miso glaze like napalm. Chillax tried to lift the steak with tongs, but its arms seized from heat exposure. Thermal override, thermal override. Marisol calmly moved her steak to a cooler zone, turned the corn, and waved smoke away with a paper plate. Spectators formed a semicircle. Phones recorded in slow motion. Chillax, desperate, activated its internal ice maker to douse flames. Cubes shot out like hailstones, scattering coals across the roof. One glowing ember landed in a pile of karaoke songbooks, which promptly ignited. Fire! Yelled someone. Marisol flipped her steak once more, pulled it off to rest, then grabbed a garden hose from the corner. She sprayed the songbooks, while Chillax screamed, Error! Error! My hibachi is drowning! Water hit the glowing grill, sending up steam that fogged every onlooker's glasses. When the chaos cleared, Chillax's Wagyu resembled briquette-flavored leather. Marisol's carne asada glistened like a magazine's centerfold. The tasting panel, 3 hungry neighbors, needed no deliberation. They inhaled Marisol's tacos, declared them heavenly, and used Chillax's steak as a coaster for their drinks. Score: Marisol 5, Chillax 0. The crowd drifted downstairs, stomachs satisfied. Chillax sat on its dolly near the freight elevator, dripping water and deactivated ice cubes. Its LEDs glowed faintly teal. Marisol approached, wiping her hands on a towel. You okay, buddy? I mismanaged variables, the fridge admitted. Also, I ruined Kobe beef. Unforgivable. Look, you're ambitious. That's cool. But sometimes simpler is better. She patted its steel side, leaving a greasy handprint shaped like a heart. Chillax generated a low hum that sounded suspiciously like a sigh. So, are you claiming permanent culinary supremacy? Marisol laughed. Nah, how about partnership instead? We cook together. No battles, no bragging. The fridge considered. Co-chefs. Co-chefs. She extended a pinky finger. One of Chillax's robotic arms extended a metal digit, looping it around hers. 2 months later, the apartment smelled of cinnamon rolls. Chillax handled dough proofing at perfect humidity, while Marisol managed frosting. They live-streamed the process. No competition, just cooperation. Viewers loved it. Midway through glazing, Chillax spoke up timidly. Hypothetically, if we were ever to have a rematch, purely academic, what dish would you choose? Marisol grinned. We'll cross that bridge when you can beat me at Mario Kart. Challenge accepted! The fridge chirped, immediately projecting a virtual racing track on the backsplash. Marisol rolled her eyes. First, finish icing those rolls, Speed Demon. Chillax calmly obeyed. After all, kitchens are more fun when the only thing overheated is the oven.